Let's talk about defenders, because once again, Real Madrid find themselves in a position where they have to be very aggressive next summer. When that window opens, we need to address the back line, because Rüdiger and Alaba are leaving more than likely. Their contracts are expiring at the end of this season. So with two center backs going out, in theory, you would like to replace them with two center backs coming in. Now, I was a bit worried when a certain player, who we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, extended their contract with their current club. But there are other options out there. Just not the dream signing that I was thinking about. So I need you guys to get in the comment section, right? Let me know what you're saying about Real Madrid's defense. What players do you think we need to target? And who would you like us to sign? Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and get in the comment section and turn on those post notifications. Now, you guys see the three defenders that are on my screen. Konaté, Marc Guéhi, and Upamecano. What do they all have in common besides them being black? They are free agents. Once again, Florentino Perez is looking for a market opportunity. And I don't blame him, because these are good young center backs. They still have potential to grow. None of them are old, right? They're still mid-20s. So I get it, right? When you have these three players that could possibly be available, then you gotta, of course, see if you can get it done. Now, it's like I said earlier, right? Rüdiger and Alaba, their deals are running out. So I would like to sign two of these players that you currently see on screen. Now, in order, here's how I would want us to target them. Marc Guéhi, number 1. Konaté, number 2. Upamecano should be like that last choice if one of them extend their deal or something crazy happens where it just can no longer happen, then yeah, you go get Upamecano. Now, on a free, all these players would be considered good business, but the player that I wanted the most was Saliba. I still feel very hurt by this guy signing his contract at Arsenal. Like, you could not tell me that Saliba was not going to be a Madrid player next summer. When this news came out, a couple weeks ago, I fell down to my knees because Saliba was the chosen one.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
And the thing is, I'm mad at Saliba, but I can't be. Real Madrid, last summer, we should have went in for him. I don't know why we waited. The guy had 2 years left on his contract. We could have made him an offer. Maybe he would have forced the move. But no, we waited to see if he'd run down his contract. And now we miss out on an absolute baller. This was my dream target for that defense, because I think Saliba is an absolute world-class player. I think he's one of the best defenders in the world, period. I know some people have their reservations about him. I don't. I was dreaming of a Housen Saliba center-back duo. But now we're not going to get that because Real Madrid want to just hope that players can leave on either cheaper deals or free deals for these megastars. It's annoying, but it is what it is, right? I get it, right? Saliba wants to stay at Arsenal. They gave him the money that he wanted. He gets some security in terms of a long-term deal. And funny enough, I do think that we will go back in for Saliba. I don't think this is the end of these rumors, right? He signed a 3-year extension, so it's 5 years in total. He had 2 years remaining, 3-year extension. By the time his contract is running down again, Saliba will still be under 30 years old. I do think Real Madrid will go back in for him. But brother, if you don't win the Prem or the Champions League with Arsenal, Saliba needs 50 lashes immediately. Because You could have just waited, bro. Saliba could have literally just waited until the end of the season to make a decision. This guy could have waited to see how things go at Arsenal. And then if it didn't go well, then he could have talked to us. And then he could have made a decision. But it is what it is, right? We're not here to talk about this because I don't want to start ranting. So now that Saliba is maybe more than likely not a realistic target next summer, I do think we come in for him in like, I'd say maybe 2027. 2026, I just don't see it happening. So now, right, because I wanted Saliba with one of these guys. So now I have to look at signing two of them. Preferably, Konaté and Marc Guéhi. Now, let's actually talk about this before we move on to the Alaba and Rüdiger situation. The reason that I would take Marc Guéhi over Konaté is because I just think he's a better defender. He also fits that physical profile as well. I believe he's slightly better, if not just outright better, than Konaté on the ball as well. And his injury record is not as bad as Konaté's. I feel like Marc Guéhi is just always available. Maybe he's picked up a knock here or there, but he's generally reliable. Now, Konaté, on the other hand, and again, these are the two that I want if I could pick the 2 out of 3. Konaté, more experienced, right? Has won the Premier League multiple times. Has won trophies. He knows what it's like to be in a title race. He knows what it's like to perform when the pressure is on. Marc Guéhi, yes, he just won the FA Cup with Palace, but let's be very honest. Crystal Palace aren't expected to win anything. Them having a good season is if they finish like 9th in the table. So a jump up from Real Madrid, right, or from Crystal Palace to Real Madrid, that would be a huge one, to be fair to him. But I do rate this guy very highly. Like, I've been impressed with Marc Guéhi every time that I've watched him for the most part, right? And again, Konaté, he is a good player, but this season so far, he looks like shit. I'm going to be honest. But so does everybody in that Liverpool team. Like, Liverpool, to start off this season, do not look good at all, which is surprising considering the summer that they had. But maybe his head is already in Madrid, right? Maybe Konaté is thinking about what it's going to be like to play under Xabi, to link up with his French mendom, you know what I'm saying, with Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Mbappe, Ferland Mendy. I don't blame him. Like, if you could go from Liverpool to Real Madrid, I mean, who wouldn't do that? I mean, just ask Trent. You know what I'm saying? We already know, look, it's like I said on, well, Liverpool's my bitch. I see a player that they have, I take him if I want him. That's just what it is. We slap you up in Champions League finals. We take your good players, and we might even take your top defensive targets because, remember, they wanted Marc Guéhi. He was supposed to leave on deadline day, and then it fell through. So now, Marc Guéhi's in a position where, because his contract's running down, Liverpool are not going to be the only big club that's in for him. Now, Upamecano, on the other hand, I think he is a decent center back. He's not shit like how people want to make out. But the issue that I have with Upamecano is he's a bozo. Like, he can look like a good defender, and he's had good spells. He's been a decent player for Bayern. I don't think he's lived up to the potential that he had when he was at Leipzig, for example. But I think he has been Bayern's best defender for a majority of the time that he's been here, which is not really saying much, right? Like, he's better than Jonathan Tah in terms of center backs, I'm saying, right? But what I do like about Upamecano, is that he has a lot of pace, power as well. He already kind of plays in a system where it's possession-based, right? Company likes to play, like this possession style of football. But I just don't rate him that highly, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I remember when Konaté and Upamecano were both at Leipzig, Upamecano was rated higher than Konaté. But I think Konaté's had the better career so far. Like, yeah, Upamecano's at Bayern. He's winning Bundesligas. He's winning the domestic cups. But let's be real. Nobody really cares about what Bayern do domestically. If they're not winning the Champions League, we don't care. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, right? Bayern are an elite club, but they're in the same boat as PSG. If you're not winning the Champions League, then it just does not matter.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Because you're so much better than everybody else in your league. You buy all the best players in your league. There's no competition. So, yeah, I'd say Konaté has had a better career, but obviously Upamecano is, I believe, the most decorated player out of these three, but he is the third option. Now, again, I would take any of them on a free transfer, as long as the wages are reasonable, right? Like, I don't want to do something like with David Alaba, where they come in and they're on ridiculous amount of money and then they don't want to leave. At the end, they run down their contract, right? Now, check this out right here, people. Because according to reports, they're now saying that Upamecano has now overtaken Konaté on Real Madrid's list of center-back targets. The club are aware of the stalled negotiations between Bayern and the player and are ready to offer a 20 million signing fee for the player. Now, I don't believe this. I don't think Real Madrid are looking at Upamecano and saying that he's a better defender than Konaté or a better defender than Marc Guéhi, right? Like, there's no way that he's leapfrogged them unless he's told Real Madrid that he'll take shit wages, right? Like, he'll come here and sign for $100K a week. I don't really get why they would do that. Now, funny enough, right? And I forgot to bring this up when I was talking about them a second ago. Upamecano does perform well for France. Like, everybody thinks that France's center-back partnership should be Saliba and Konaté, but I feel like Upamecano is always in there. Didier Deschamps does rate this guy. Now, 20 million signing on fee, I mean, like, that's what comes with signing players without having to pay their club, right? Like, when players run down their contracts, they have more power, right? They get a signing on bonus that's bigger than what they normally would, and then they also get higher wages than what they normally would. Because of that, you don't have to pay their club. So that's the trade-off, right? Like, if I go back, right, and let's just look at this really quickly. Upamecano would cost about 70 million. Like, Bayern would charge an obscene amount of money for him. Marc Guéhi, English tax, plays for the international team as well. One of the best defenders that England have. He'd probably cost like 70, 80 million. Same thing with Konaté. So you're getting players that would cost you an arm and a leg for nothing, except for having to obviously pay their wages, etc. But now imagine having to pay 80 million and then have to pay their wages, and then you gotta, negotiate their agent fees, etc. Right? So again, this is why players tend to get a lot of money when they leave for free. Now, this report came out saying that Rüdiger's priority is Real Madrid. He does not rule out a contract renewal if the club offers him a new contract. Now, I don't see this happening. Rüdiger, since Xabi Alonso has come in, has not looked good. So I don't see a situation where we offer him a new contract when he doesn't look comfortable in the system that our brand new manager wants to run. Now, I do think out of the two, between Rüdiger and Alaba, if we were to keep one of them, it would be Rüdiger. But I think Real Madrid are probably looking at moving on. Like, unless Rüdiger has an amazing rest of the season once he comes back from injury, I just think he's gone, to be honest. And it's important to get these wages off the book. Now, I have our salary cap up right here, right? And you see how much money these players are on. But let me go to the players whose contracts are expiring, right? So you have David Alaba. By the way, this guy is our second highest paid player at $22.5 million. Courtois, huh? Courtois, Asensio and Courtois' deal do not run out this summer. Asensio just signed like a 5 or 6 year deal, and I think Courtois' contract runs out next summer, so they didn't update this. But what we do know for sure, and I know that Carvajal is leaving as well. This is his last season more than likely, but we're more so talking about the center backs, right? So Alaba is on $22.5 million, and Rüdiger is on $14.5 million. Now, I'm not the best at math, so we're going to have to pull up the calculator here, all right, people? So $22.5 million, right? That's a lot of fucking money. David Alaba is top 5 highest paid players in La Liga, and this guy holds bench, okay? So we got to get that off the books. So when you combine his wage with Rüdiger's wage, that is $37 million off the books if they leave. Now, if Rüdiger ends up getting a new contract, it will 100% be on a smaller deal, right? Like, this guy's going to have to drop his wages If he's currently on, Rüdiger's on $280K a week, he would have to drop his wages down to like $120K a week to stay. Like, he would have to cut his wages by more than half because he's on a lot of bread. But $37 million in wages will be freed up. That is a lot of money that Real Madrid have to play with. Now, again, we're looking at Konaté, Upamecano, and Marc Guéhi. Saliba was my dream target on top of one of these guys, but it's looking like we're going to try, and we have to try and get two of them, right? How realistic is that? So, like I said, get in the comment section. Let me know what you're saying about the defensive situation that's going on at the club, because once Rüdiger and Alaba leave, the only center backs that we'll have is Housen, Asensio, and then like the academy kids, right? Like Joan Garcia, Diego Aguado, for example. And I know that the club are going to want to bring in somebody else. So maybe we just sign one of them. But just like last summer, where I thought we should have got Housen and another defender, I think we should be getting two center backs because two of them are leaving. That's just me. Like I said, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. Real Madrid!